This application activity called With or Without Courage will teach the children that they can have courage in any situation by trusting in God. In this activity, the children will hear situations and determine if the child in the situation had courage or not. Lead the activity like this. All right, so tell me again what the main point for the day is.
I can have courage because God has a plan.
That's right. We can have courage in our lives just by trusting in God because He has a plan for us. However, courage does not mean that we are not afraid. In order to have courage, you first need to be afraid. Courage is how we react when we are scared. So we're going to take a look at some situations. I'm going to read through these, and once I'm done, we'll ask and talk about if they had courage and how they had courage, and if they didn't have courage, we'll talk about maybe how they could have shown courage. All right, the first one is, Julie is walking home from school with her friends, and one of her friends suggests that they all go to the arcade to play games. Everyone in the group thinks that that's a great idea, and they start to head that way. But Julie's mom told her that morning that she is supposed to come home straight from school and go nowhere else. Julie wants to go play games with her friends, but she also knows that she needs to obey her mom because that's part of God's plan for her life. Her friends start motioning her to come on, and Julie begins to worry that if she doesn't go with her friends, that they might make fun of her. One of Julie's friends starts to get impatient and asks Julie if she's going to go with them. Julie decides to trust in God, and she politely refuses and says that she needs to obey her mom because this is what God wants her to do. So, did Julie show courage?
Yes.
How did she show courage?
She obeyed her mom. Even though her friends might have laughed at her, she still did what her mom asked her to do.
Exactly. That can be tough, but we know that God has a plan for us, so we need to follow those. All right, the next one. Henry is asleep in his bed one night until he hears a noise from outside his window. It is dark in his room and he cannot see what is outside his window. Harry then becomes very frightened. He pulls the cover over his head and tries to go back to sleep. The noise continues, and Harry knows that God made both the light and the dark, but he becomes so scared that he runs down to his parents' room and sleeps at the end of their bed. And when he wakes up in the morning and tells his parents about the noise, they go outside and to see if they can find the cause of it. They look outside and find that a branch from a nearby tree was blowing against the window. So did Harry have courage?
No.
So tell me how he could have had courage.
Maybe he could have just said a prayer
Could have said a prayer, yeah.
and tried to go back to sleep.
Any other way?
Maybe looked out the window to see.
Right?
Then he would have known it was the branch.
Exactly. Once you've gone through all these scenarios, you can close the activity something like this. All the kids in these situations had a choice to make, right? They could have acted with courage or without courage. For the kids that acted with courage, what gave these kids courage?
Knowing that God had a plan.
Exactly. That's right. They trusted that God had a plan for them, and that gave them the courage. There will be lots of times in our lives when we will be scared and that we don't know what we're supposed to do. But when we find ourselves in these situations, we need to know that we can respond with courage because God has a plan for us.